Hey, what's up everyone? This is the second part of the tutorial series for Blender 2.9. If you haven't watched the previous part, I will leave a link in the description below. To follow all the tutorials in this series, I have made a playlist dedicated for this. So make sure you go check that out. Let's go ahead and give the monkey a material and give you guys your first render, because you deserve it. Go to the Properties panel and then go to the Materials tab. Make sure the object is selected. Press New and let's name this material Metal. A bunch of settings just emerged for the material. Well, don't freak out, I'll guide you through it. Base color is the color you want your monkey to have. I'll go with blue. But wait, nothing happened to the monkey. To actually see the changes, we must go to the rendered view. Press Z and click on rendered view. Aha! Now we can see it. Let's go ahead and bump the value of metal to 1. This will make the monkey look metallic. The monkey looks a bit strange though, doesn't it? That's because we haven't added a light source. So let's go ahead and add in a sun and point it on the monkey's face. To do that, hold Shift plus A and go to Lights and select Sun. Now, here are a few more shortcuts you must remember. On the number pad, on pressing 1, you get the front orthographic view, 3 gives you the side orthographic view, 7 gives you the top orthographic view, 9 is to invert the view, 5 is to get into perspective or orthographic view. 4, 8, 6 and 2 are used for moving at an increment of 15 degrees. Okay, so let's get into the side view by pressing 3 on the number pad. Click on the light and press G to move. Now, if you wish to snap the light to these grid points, at the top you can find an icon that looks like a magnet. Click that and pull down the menu next to it and choose Increment. To move it on the Z axis, press Z, and the same goes with the X axis and Y axis. Then press R to rotate and position it somewhere here. Now to meddle with the material properties again, let's keep the roughness at 0.4 and increase specular value to 1. Specular property is basically how the material reacts to light shining on it. More specular value means that it will reflect more of the light on its surface. Next, we have the Anisotropic Settings. So this is what it does. Let's see a real-world example where you can observe this. We can often see this in pans, watches made out of stainless steel, and other such materials. We will leave the other settings as it is. The main thing I wanted to talk about today was the render settings. So let us switch to the render properties tab. We have 3 types of render engines, in which the most accurate is the cycles. It is path tracing, whereas Eevee is a real-time engine. I won't be talking about it in much depth as of now. Workbench is mainly used for rendering animations quickly and analyzing the scene. Cycles is amazing, but it does take a lot of time to render, and Eevee on the other hand is very fast and has improved a lot. In this tutorial, let's just focus on cycles first. So let's see the settings in cycles. The more the samples, better the result, but the more time it will take to render. So definitely keep that in mind. People often try to render at 5000 samples and whatnot, which is completely unnecessary. For this scene, we will start with 10 samples. For now, we will keep the adaptive sampling off. Go to the film settings and enable transparent so it won't have any background. The device used for rendering is initially set to CPU. Let's change that to GPU compute. And if you do have a GPU and it does not show in the device, let's go to the Preferences, System, and then select CUDA and select your respective GPU. I have an RTX card, so I'll be choosing optics. Enough with the settings. Let's add in a camera by pressing Shift plus A. This angle looks good to me. To snap the camera to our current view, press Ctrl plus Alt plus number pad 0. There you go. Let me give you a small trick to navigate the camera. First of all, go to the Preferences and in Key Map, search for Walk and change the shortcut. I have personally kept Shift plus F. Click on Save Preferences and press Shift plus F. Now you can control your camera movement with ASWD keys and aim using your mouse, just like in games. To render the image, press F12 or go to the Render settings and click on Render Image. As you can see, there is a lot of noise because we kept the samples amount to 10. Let's go and bump up the value to about 100. And then press F12. That is much better. It is okay to increase the sample count further for such a simple scene. If we had multiple objects in the scene, the render time would increase drastically. So let's go back and play with the settings a little. Reduce the samples to 50 and turn on denoising in the View Layers Property tab. Now let's take a look at the output settings. Set resolution to 1920 by 1080 and choose 100%. Select render region and crop to render only the camera view, which will reduce the render time in your viewport. Choose JPEG and set to 100% quality. Finally, hit Render Image. Click Save As and choose your location. I'm going to choose desktop for this. Make sure Save As Render is enabled. There you go, your first render. You know what? Let's mess around with the settings a little more. First of all, change the sun strength to 2. Select the monkey and change the color to red. Add in a cube by pressing Shift plus A and select Mesh, Cube. Press S to scale the cube and then press number pad 2 to scale it 2 times the initial size. Now let's go ahead to the Edit mode by pressing Tab. Select these 3 faces by holding down Shift and then press Delete key to delete these 3 faces. Now let's go ahead and give it a shiny metal material. Change the metallic value to 1 and change the roughness value to 0. Let's go to the camera view by pressing 0 on your number pad. Press Shift F and select the perfect angle according to you. Select the cube and press G and then Z to move the cube along the Z axis. Change the base color to pure white and increase the specular level to 1. Now let's select the camera and go to the camera settings. Let's enable depth of field. If you have used a camera, you would know the term depth of field. So basically, it is the distance between the nearest and the farthest objects giving a focused image. So if you would like to add in that blur effect in the background and make your subject look sharper, you can use depth of field to do that. So let us go ahead to the depth of field settings and then go to the viewport display settings and enable limits. Let us reduce the distance now. There you can see the limits. So let's increase this gradually to the point where that crosshair matches close to the eye of the monkey. This is the point where the camera's focus will lie. If you reduce the f-stop number to 0.1, you would get the maximum blur effect in the background, and if you would increase it further, the blurriness will decrease. Now I'm going to go to the output settings and change the resolution to 3840 by 2160, which is 4K. In the Performance tab, I am going to increase the tile size to 512 by 512. We will get into the details in the next part. Now press F12 to render your image. And there you have it. This is also the thumbnail used for this video. If you have made it this far, I would just like to say thank you so much, and if you like my content, please consider subscribing to this channel. Alright, I'll catch you in the next one.